Alrighty, test one, two, three. I think we have everything ready. Hey, that kind of rhymed, didn't it? That hurt my ears. Geez, something else just popped in. Wow. Okay, there we go. Um, so hello everyone. I'm happy that we are actually doing a live stream that is not under unfortunate circumstances. Because this right here is a forecasting video. All right, it's not a forecasting video to where like I'm recording it after the fact. Like I can see everyone in chat. So this is going to be an interactive live stream to where I answer people's questions as well as give my 2 cents onto what all could be happening. But we got a pretty big storm setup that's going to be moving on through the central portions of the United States and maybe even into Canada. And that can create some strong damaging winds and upwards of hurricane force, as well as some severe weather, including tornadoes. And the thing of it is, too, is that with this event, we could potentially get some wildfires from this as well. And that's kind of the thing that I really am not looking forward to the most with this event, because there's a lot of stuff here that just really kind of popped up. And I'll show you all the fire outlook here. This is for tomorrow. This is for Wednesday. And with the fire outlook, they actually have a scale of 0 to 3, I should say. So everything in white is a 0. And then they mark it from elevated. So that's a 1 out of 3. They have these reds, which is a 2 out of 3. And then they got these pinks, which is a 3 out of 3. And there is a 3 out of 3 here in the portions of western Kansas, central Kansas, into the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. And that's kind of the thing here to where I'm really concerned about the most with how bad some of the wildfires could be. And it's not just these random cities that are going to be hit either. It's going to be Dodge City that could potentially be in the risk. We can have Garden City, Liberal, Hayes, Great Bend, that general area. And that's just kind of one of the things that we really have to watch out for with all of this, is that there is a extreme risk for fires or wildfires within these areas because of the low dew points and the significant winds. And we'll show you guys here in a bit as that continues to move about what that looks like here. But let's go back to the satellite imagery here. And we've got the infrared satellite imagery, as we always do every single video. You know, we always take a look at the satellite just to try and get us an idea as to what could potentially be happening across the board. And you can see a couple things here. First off, we have our low pressure system that is moving through Los Angeles and that general vicinity. You can see this massive trough that's being stirred up with this. And this low pressure system is really going to create your risk here for portions of Iowa, Minnesota, all the way down across into Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And then you also have this new low pressure system back in behind this. You can see the massive trough that's being stirred from this thing as well, right within here. And this is going to create more heavy rain and snow showers across the board here along the Pacific coast. So watch out for that. Whether you're in British Columbia, whether you're in the Northwest, Southwest, just the West in general, watch out for that potential enhancement of precipitation. Jacob Griffin with the 5 says, what do you think the chances are of there being an EF5 from the past Friday? And also, how much damage did Jonesboro take? Jonesboro didn't take a whole lot of damage. And then in regards to EF5 rating, some of the damage has been, of course, catastrophic. So, I'm not there, so I can't exactly look at the damage up close and personal. So I can't really answer that question of whether or not it could be an EF5, but it is probably one of the more likely candidates of there to be an EF5 in the last, probably 9 years since the last time more happened. So something to watch out for with that. But let's go over and let's take a look at the convective outlooks here from the Storm Prediction Center. This is the day 1 convective outlook, which was today. And you can see not a whole lot is going on. But the big thing that is the change here is the day 2 convective outlook. This is for tomorrow on Wednesday, the 14th of December. Look at this entire area. Doesn't that look kind of familiar here? You know, we've been talking about this thing for quite some time here on the channel. Ever since I believe it was Sunday when we made that video. This entire area here is now in a severe risk, and we now also have a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale, which is indicated in that yellow too. So if you're in the dark green and if you're in the yellow, you guys need to watch out for severe weather, as this could really potentially be a very strong damaging wind and maybe even tornado threat, especially with there being a 5% chance for tornadoes in places like Iowa, Minnesota, and maybe even portions of Wisconsin as well. If you guys are asking the question of whether or not I'm going to live stream tomorrow, the answer is I don't know. You'll have to figure out, well, I don't say you'll have to figure out, but you'll have to stay tuned to my video tomorrow morning that I'll upload. That'll go through all the timings and stuff like that for this event so that people can get an idea as to when showers and thunderstorms are going to be moving on through. And I'll say whether or not I could live stream. If I'm still undecided by then who knows at that point, but I'll probably have an answer for you all tomorrow by then. But the people that should really be concerned, in my honest opinion, should be the people along the border of Nebraska and Iowa. So like Omaha is included within this. People in Iowa, people in southern to southeastern portions of Minnesota. Actually, I'm really thinking that southeastern portions of Minnesota really needs to watch out for this event, especially with what some of the models are actually portraying this event to be like. And then, yeah, that's just basically those areas right there that I just mentioned. Wisconsin could get into some of the risk, but that's when it's going to start to kind of fan out a bit more. So watch out for that, more or less. But yeah, those are the areas that I would watch out for the most. And then if we take a look at the day 3 convective outlook, which is for Thursday, you can see we have a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale here in portions of Arkansas, northeastern Texas, as well as northern Louisiana and portions of the Mississippi River. So watch out for that, especially since they could potentially be getting some excess rain and severe weather that could be right over some of the areas impacted by tornadoes. What software do I use for the live radar? So this right here is GR Earth. It takes a look at all the satellite stuff, and you could also hypothetically get radar on this, but it's just MRMS data, which is level 3 data, so not super high quality. But if you're talking about the other radar product that I used on Friday, that is GR2 Analyst, 21-day free trial, but then afterwards you'll have to get a key, and that costs $250, but only a one-time purchase. And if you do that, you know, in my opinion, GR2 is probably the best product out there for radar. So there you go. Will this affect North Carolina for severe weather? No. I've called specific areas that could potentially get severe weather. So if your area was called, I highly recommend you watch out that for specifically the most impactful portion of this event. What does Kansas City, Kansas look like for severe weather? For you guys, it'll be more or less of a strong damaging wind event. And let's actually go over to Weather Bell here real quickly, and we'll take a look. I think we'll take a look at the NAM 3 kilometer model and go to the central region so you guys can see the precipitation. So we'll go over to that. We'll switch over to here. There you go. Of course, timing is above me. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you live in Central, then you're gonna have to go and you know, subtract an hour. And here we go. Taking a look at the models here, we're going to actually skip a little bit ahead. You can see a lot of snow that's still residual from when the low pressure system passed through the Sierra Mountains in California. So widespread amounts of snow here that's possible. But then this is when things really start to get interesting. As this thing completely moves on through, you can start to see this low pressure system really take shape here into Nebraska and South Dakota. And then as this moves about, you can see this massive line that starts to form. And this massive line is just really something to watch out for with damaging winds, except for if you're in Iowa and Minnesota. So really watch out for that. And you guys can actually see if we go a little bit closer here. Is the Northern Plains the best one to look at here? No, we're going to take a look at the upper Midwest then. And yeah, there we go. So we kind of can see everything to the best of our abilities. And look at this. This massive line of storms is kind of in a broken line version, but these little broken line areas could potentially be supercellular, which is just strong thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes. And so you guys really need to watch out for that, especially if you get some broken line convection here, because the environment here with the wind shear is definitely conducive for tornadoes. All right, I'll show you guys the wind shear and all that here in a second, but this is definitely something to really watch out for as this continues to move about. I do not believe this is going to be a derecho. This is a broken line QLCS rather than a QLCS. By the way, if you guys do enjoy my content and stuff like that, please be sure to leave a like on the video or the live stream, as this would help me get this out to as many people as possible. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, by the way, I just want to make this clear. All right, just this. The thing of it is that I remember earlier on this year when I used to do these types of live streams, and I would only get, probably 100 to 200 people to come out to a live stream. It's been, 11 minutes, and we already have 550 people watching the live stream. To me, that's insane. That shows how much we've grown together as a channel. This is not just my channel, this is your guys' channel too, and this is how much we've grown together. So, to everyone who's been here, everyone who's still watching, anyone who was watching me before, and, to people who are watching after the fact, thank you. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. It's mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing to me. So, thank you so much. You're in North DuPage. Is everything going to be okay for you? Let me take a look at that real quickly. North DuPage. And I'm assuming that's in Illinois. And if that's the case, then you guys could get some strong damaging winds in the overnight hours, but it's expected to really break up by then. So the general vicinity of Chicago probably isn't going to get as much. But yeah, that's the thing there. Let's go over to the general scale of this, and I'll show you guys the 500 millibar wind shear first, like usual. The 500 millibar wind shear, for anyone who is new to the channel or even the live stream here, is winds 6 kilometers above ground level. So it's pretty high in the sky. It's the upper level wind shear, as we like to call it. And taking a look at this here, very strong, very heavy amounts of wind shear across portions of Iowa, Missouri, as well as Kansas and Minnesota. And even if we backtrack it just to see how this thing progresses, I mean, look at this thing. This thing completely curls up and just moves right into the area of interest right within here. And some pretty significant wind shear values. Look at the screen right over here, right next to me. See that max right there? That always tells you the highest amount of whatever I'm looking at. So whether it is, wind shear, whether it is dew points, whether it is cape, all that stuff. Good thing to, to look out for in future videos is that max. And it tells you that the maximum wind shear, the highest level, according to what frame we're looking at right now, is 148 knots, which is more than insane. It's very strong, and it's even stronger than what it was on Friday. But the good news here is that it's not expected to be as bad as Friday due to the lack of thermodynamics, which is moisture, cape, or energy levels, which we'll get to cape in a second. But the energy and the moisture is not as high. As a matter of fact, it's very close to being almost zero in some spots. So don't think that it's going to be anything like Friday, all right? I don't see that happening unless if we get another event that is similar to that and it's a bit further south. If it's a bit further south, then you could potentially get something. But, if you can imagine something like this that would happen in like spring or summer, this would definitely be a very concerning situation due to the fact of how significant the wind shear is. I mean, we don't get this type of stuff in spring or summer, and that's when severe weather happens. So count your lucky stars. I'm sure I'm counting mine, even outside of the streams and videos, that this stuff really doesn't happen. But I'm kind of happy with that. Hammerheads. Don't spam in the chat or else I will make you skate. I will. I'll tell Al. But anyways, let's take a look at the 850 millibar wind shear here now. Hammerheads is the team that I coach with some other people. So let's see. Yeah, here's the 850 millibar wind shear. Look at that. That is pretty insane. Let's actually get a little bit closer to it. I really want to see this on all sorts of stuff. No stupid questions, but what caused all the perfect conditions for something like what happened a few days ago in December? Good question. High energy, high cape, or medium energy, high cape, and stuff like that. Real quickly. There we go. Now I've told my hockey players that I coach, don't make me get Al to skate you all. But anyways, yeah, take a look at the low-level jet here. This is the 850 millibar wind shear, which is about 1 kilometer above ground level. And I mean, look at this amount. I mean, you're in some of the light browns into almost the whites in some spots, and that is kind of insane. All right, that's really insane, more or less. I mean, this is something that we don't get a whole lot, but because it's December and because it's starting to get a bit cooler, the wind patterns really start to kind of amplify, and that's kind of one of the main reasons as to why that is the case. You know, it's just that time of year where the wind patterns are really significant. But if it was in spring, if it was in summer, probably wouldn't be like this. It'd probably be substantially weaker. So, yeah, I mean, this is just very strong low-level jet, and this is all playing into some significant wind shear. But the good news here is, and let's go over to the convective available potential energy. We'll talk about that first, and then we're gonna shift into the dew points because I want to show you guys something with the dew points too. All right, so here's the energy levels, and for people who don't know what convective available potential energy is, or CAPE, that is basically the displacement between warm air rising and cold air sinking. So the displacement between the two can indicate how much energy there is in the atmosphere. So you typically want about 1,500 joules per kilogram in order for you to get a substantial amount of energy. And you know, within the area, now sure the max says like 2,000, but that's all in the Gulf of Mexico. So if I like adjust that to like, you know, the north or something like that, or the upper Midwest, you wouldn't be able to see that amount. And I'll probably show you guys that a little bit later, but I want to kind of just get you all a general idea as to where the CAPE exactly is at with this event, because you know, we're not just looking at areas here in Iowa and Minnesota and Wisconsin, even though they are the main threat. We're still going to want to look at places like Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all sorts of stuff like that. We're going to want to try and cover the whole entire event. And so that way you guys may just have a general idea as to what could potentially happen. So let's take a look as this continues. As I said, of course, the time is above me. And there you go. You guys can see it. As I said, Eastern Daylight Time, but just subtract 1 hour to get to Central. And you can see the energy levels start to get into the dark green here. So that's about 1,000 joules per kilogram, maybe a little bit higher to 1,200 joules per kilogram. But then in some other areas down here into Oklahoma and Kansas, it actually breaches that into the 1,500 joules per kilogram. So that's the reason why I'm saying there could be some severe weather down in Oklahoma still. And I would not be surprised if they actually had a slight risk down there themselves, but it's more of a damaging wind threat down there for them. And you can see as fast as the CAPE forms, you can see how quickly it erodes too. And that's how much energy that's just being used by these thunderstorms. So you can't really expect, you know, a crap ton of energy with this event. And that's the reason why it's not going to be as significant as Friday, because, you know, we had CAPE values for people who are curious from 2,500 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. And that's, you know, well above the expected amount or even the needed amount for severe weather for this time of year. So, I mean, this is definitely a nice downgrade from what we've had in the past week. This is a very nice downgrade, but the problem is that we're still expected to get some more severe weather, and this will be tomorrow. So let's do timings here. We'll do one more round of timings, and then I want to show you all the moisture. I want to show you all the dew points, and then we'll transition into questions and stuff like that. The one thing I do want to talk about before we get into all of this is David Johnson has become a member of the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, because that's the best way to support my channel right there. You know, I don't ask for money, but if you want to support, okay, the best way to do it is by becoming a channel member, because it tells me that you are sponsoring the channel and you enjoy my content. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You get, you know, during my actual main severe weather live streams, you get your name shouted out across the bottom of the screen and stuff like that. You also get emotes, badges, you get exclusive content. You can see my past podcasts that I've done. So if that's something that you're interested in, or if you just want to support my channel, you know, just because you want to sponsor me, it's only $5 a month. So it's super affordable, because I don't believe in putting up like $20, $50, $100 memberships. That's kind of stupid in my honest opinion. So, you know, I try to make it to where if you want to help, please be sure to do that. But yeah, let's get straight into it now. And what would probably be the best sector to use? I think still going with Central is good enough. I kind of wish that we had something else to be able to see all of this, but you know, things aren't always perfect, and so you gotta improvise. North Central, is that good? Hey, that's not bad. This could be not bad for looking at the north. Yeah, this is not that bad, honestly. Yep, I think this is good. I think we can use this for now, and then we can start shifting down south if we really need to. So, as I said, timings up above me, and you can see this massive line that really starts to protrude through the Omaha area by around 5 in the afternoon, all right? You still get some residual snow and even sleet and freezing rain behind this. So watch out for that, because there could potentially be wintry conditions. But as this continues to shift on through, you can see how widespread this becomes, and it really starts to impact portions of southern Minnesota too. That's kind of the area that I'm really watching out for, is northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. So really watch out for that, as there could potentially be some significant storms that could potentially produce tornadoes too. And then as you can see, as this continues to move on through into the Mississippi River, this really starts to kind of form much into a line, and that's when things start to really become kind of linear with some strong damaging winds. So watch out for that. But the big thing here again, all right, the thing that's really consistent is that this event could possibly be mainly overnight as well too. I mean, the thing will start to disintegrate as we get towards, you know, the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hours. But before that, you know, it starts to turn into nighttime right around 5 o'clock. You know, it starts to get to dusk at, what, 4 o'clock. So, you know, this is when things really start to transition into the overnight hours. And, you know, with strong damaging winds like this, it's going to be pretty hard to kind of, you know, see what all is happening. Michelle, hello. Welcome to the live stream. Anything for Norfolk, Nebraska? They might get some snow and just showers in general, but nothing as significant as areas up into portions of Iowa. But yeah, that's the timings for that area. Now let's go to not South Central. Can we just go to Central here and just hope for the best? Probably. Yep. Catherine Kahn with a 5. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And I really do. Thank you so much. And Joshua D with the $2 super chat says, Mankato in Minnesota area, winds or NATO main threat. Let's take a look. Because as I said, I'm not too familiar with most geography outside of the mid-Atlantic in the Northeast. So Mankato, Minnesota. You guys are over there, and you guys are just over. You're south and west of Minneapolis, and you're due west of Rochester. So that kind of makes sense. And yes, you guys are in the tornado risk, so I would watch out if you guys were over there, because this could definitely be a strong damaging wind and tornado threat for you all. What's Wisconsin going to look like? It's going to be a main damaging wind threat, unless if you're near, like, probably areas of, sorry for it kind of being, you know, kind of jittery here. Let's pause it there. Probably areas near Eau Claire and La Crosse. That general vicinity probably could get some strong damaging winds and maybe even a localized tornado threat. But if you're like talking about like Milwaukee and Madison and Green Bay and stuff like that, you guys probably are getting some strong damaging winds. Proptics, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really do appreciate your guys' support. Earl West with the 2 says, "What should I expect in Stevens Point, Wisconsin?" Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And this is kind of north, and it's actually in central Wisconsin. I was going to say north and west of Appleton and Oshkosh. But yeah, I'd say you guys can get some strong damaging winds. I can't really rule out a chance for a tornado, but more or less it's going to be strong damaging winds more than anything. And I know I'm jumping all over the place, so let's actually go over to our just full screen here in general and hope for the best. But yeah, you guys are just barely in a 1 out of 5 in the severe weather scale, maybe not even in that. So that shows you that the potential for you guys may not be super high. Lot of questions that are being asked. So we'll answer the questions here again in a second. First off, if you guys do enjoy, you know, the live stream so far, please be sure to leave a like to spread this with as many people as possible, essentially helping me spread information, because that would be greatly appreciated, especially if people over here, you know, if people live in these areas. So thank you guys so much for being in the channel. We have over 1,300 people watching right now, so I really do appreciate your guys' support. So I know there's a lot of questions being asked, so I'll answer those questions here in a second, but right now, I want to show you guys something that's pretty significant in my honest opinion. And then I'll start answering questions again as we start to transition further and further east. So, surface winds, we're going to show you the wind gusts and miles per hour. I'm going to pull up Weather Bell again on the slide here. And these are the wind gusts here from, that would be 2 today. So let's actually move it up a little bit more. There you go. So this is about the time, this is about right about now. All right, so these are the wind gusts here. We're going to actually do the wind gust swath to where you guys can see the maximum amount of wind gusts within your area. And to show you guys here how significant this storm could potentially be on the fire aspect of all of this, I'm going to show you all how significant the damaging wind gusts could be. So watch here. This is from overnight on Tuesday into Wednesday, and look at these reds and even browns that start to shoot off across the entire area. Some areas could even get up, I know it says 94 on the side, but that's because of higher elevation and stuff like that. So let's actually take a look a little bit closer to specifically Kansas states, and here we go, Kansas. And there we go. Hurricane force winds are possible in some of these areas, specifically in localized areas, all right? This area right here, it may not get hurricane force winds, but some other areas could. And that's the same thing, is that if this model's right, this area could get hurricane force winds, but anything over 74 miles per hour is hurricane force winds, and we got that there. We got a bunch of that across the board in this fire risk. And just to show you all where that fire risk is again, there it is. You can see the massive risk of fire. The orange is a 1 out of 3, the red is a 2 out of 3, and then the pink is a 3 out of 3. And usually when there's that big of a risk for pink, then something could potentially be pretty significant. So we'll watch out for that as that can continue to move on about, because this does have a very strong chance of being a wildfire risk. And you know, if there are fires that fire across the board, those strong damaging winds that are in upwards of hurricane force can spread those fires like crazy. Like, oh my goodness, it can go from one spot to another within a matter of seconds, maybe even minutes at most. So that's the one thing that we got to be really cautious about this event here. And potentially, this could probably be worse than the damaging winds and tornadoes. There is the potential for this to be the main aspect of this entire event. You know I talk a lot about severe weather and, you know, tropical weather and winter a lot. I don't really mention fire weather a lot, but this here, you know, I haven't seen this in a while, and I'll show you guys what I mean here by us taking a look at the dew points. We're going to go back to the central region, and we're going to go to the moisture here. And before we talk about that, real quickly, we got some more super chats. Philip with the 10 says Des Moines all the time. The December record high of 71. Non-storm evening wind gusts over 70. If severe weather occurs, storm motion could top 100 miles per hour, national forecasters are saying. Yeah, there's a knowledgeable meteorologist that was on Twitter, and he was saying if you were to try and keep up with a bunch of these storms in Iowa, you would have to be moving around 120 miles per hour, which is not legal, by the way. So it's not like we have the Autobahn in the United States. It's not legal. So that's pretty crazy, but very true, Philip, and thank you for the 10. I really do appreciate you supporting my channel. And then Siren with the 20 says, good job. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. I really do appreciate that. I really do. So this looks very familiar to the thumbnail that you guys clicked on, right? It's just not really all too disappointing here with the thumbnail, so you can't really say it's clickbait, can you? But look at this. All right, we've got dew points on one side in around the 50s to maybe even 60s, which this is the severe weather aspect. Remember, dew points above 60 is favorable for strong severe weather, and we do have that in the portions of Iowa. But we have dew points of 60s on one side, and then on the other, we got single digits here, single digit dew points. That is a difference of almost 50 to even 60 degrees. That is very significant, and that creates a very strong threat for damaging winds. All right, that's the reason why the hurricane force winds is possible throughout much of these areas, and that's the reason why the fire risk is so significant from the Storm Prediction Center. So the dew points are so dry, it probably could be comparable to a desert. I mean, it's not even comparable to our desert. Arizona is a desert, and it has dew points up into the 20s. This is single-digit dew points here across the board, and that's kind of significant here, especially for fire weather, for wildfires in general. So we need to watch out for that, especially as that will propagate further and further into the central portions of the United States. But then as this continues to move on through, you can see how the cold front, or even the dry line at this point, because we got a massive dry line here that is kind of just working its way through with a cold front behind this. You can see cold front kind of surging on through here. Massive front that just pushes on through, uses most of that moisture up as it continues to move about. And then you can see the line that will continue to reside over Oklahoma. That's kind of the reason why there is a risk for Thursday as well. It all kind of just leads one way to another, kind of like a domino effect, to where you can get some high dew points creating some strong severe weather within that general vicinity. And you can see some showers and thunderstorms within these lower amounts of dew points here out in front of the dry line that actually start to pop up across the board here by the overnight into the midnight hours as well. So watch out for that. A strong line of damaging winds, and well, I'd say just strong damaging winds more than anything, to be honest with you, is definitely possible. And the unfortunate thing here is that if I go over to the Euro model, all right, if I go over to the Euro model, I don't want to go to the precipitation quite yet. I want to show you all the instantaneous flash rate because I do think that'll be very useful in this event. You can see the massive line that pushes on through. It starts from down here and it moves off further towards the north and east into Iowa. But then what happens after this is you got that line of storms that I was talking about that went into Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. And then this will kind of just linger. Look at this. We got some more showers and thunderstorms that are potentially possible here. for areas that were just impacted by these tornadoes. And this is just a giant line that'll basically move on through from Wednesday night into Thursday and possibly into Friday as well. So you can see more rain over areas that practically don't have shelter in some spots. And that could create a flash flood risk. We'll see. Actually, you can see as this continues to progress, we got more and more of showers and thunderstorms that are anticipated even on Friday. And we can see how this continues to transition. And we got more and more of that even into the morning hours of Saturday. So let's go to the run prior to this and look at this. More and more showers and thunderstorms before you finally get out of all of that onto Saturday night. So really something that is kind of something to monitor with that. MKL with the 5 says, thanks for your work last Friday. I was able to warn folks in the storm's path. Glad to be a new sub. Thank you so much for becoming a subscriber, and thank you so much for the 5 on the channel. I really do appreciate it. Like all the funds that I get either goes to charity or it goes right back into the channel. And so with all the support that I've been getting lately, I can now undertake new products and new challenges, new projects in general that could help make the quality of my channel so much better and even more enjoyable if you're a weather enthusiast and stuff like that. So watch for that. Is Tennessee under the threat for tornadoes? More than likely not. During that risk, I should say, more than likely not. Is St. Cloud, Minnesota in any danger for tornadoes? I don't believe so. I think they're too far north, my honest opinion. I think they're too far north. But I could definitely be wrong. So let's take a look at the instantaneous flash rate again. Hey, you guys could get some scattered showers and thunderstorms, so I'd watch out for it. There could potentially be an extension further up to the north with you guys being in the tornado and damaging wind risk, so watch out for that. I would. Will it hit Atlanta? Probably the flooding risk, but everything else, no. Will the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area be okay? You guys probably will get some localized flooding and maybe some strong damaging winds from these thunderstorms, but otherwise, I don't anticipate you guys getting a whole lot. What's the weather like in Czechoslovakia? That would be too far in the past, my friend. If you meant the Czech Republic or Slovakia, I could still do that, but probably not today. Let's see. I'm looking in chat. There's a lot of stuff here. What about Utah? Good question, good question, good question. So with Utah over here, and we'll actually use the west, so we can zoom out with that. Depending upon where you are in Utah can determine as to what your output is. So we'll take a look at the total amount of precipitation within the span of 48 hours here. There you go. You can see there's a lot of rain that is expected across portions of California, but we've covered that for quite some time, you know. So this is precipitation in general, all right? If you were to get rain, you guys could get some in amounts of an inch to maybe even an inch and a half in some localized areas. That could create some flooding risks. Let's see if I can actually zoom into Utah. And I can! Look at that! I can actually zoom into Utah. There you go. Here you go. You can get some localized amounts of an inch to maybe even an inch and a half in some spots. But then if we take a look at the snow amounts, all right, if we take a look at the winter aspect of this, you're not expected to get a high amount of snow within a short time period. Let's go to like the ambitious type of snow here. This is the total amount of snow that you guys can get all the way up onto Friday. So you got some areas in higher elevations that could get in upwards of, say, 30 inches of snow, over 2 feet of snow, and at least. But then you have some of the areas that are more towards sea level, or technically, Utah is not exactly at sea level, but the lower to the ground you get, you can get some dusting situations, but other than that, not really too significant in that aspect. But if you're, like in the higher elevations, or if you're close to them, like Salt Lake City, for instance, you guys can get some snow as well from between now and Friday. So would not be surprised for that. Joshua D with the 2, thank you again. I really do appreciate it. Says, what model are you using for future radar? So this website here is a paid product that costs too much money, but at the same time, for my staff on Discord, I don't pay them money. I pay them weather products, and they apparently like that more than actual money in itself. So, yeah, they get weather products and stuff like that. And this is Weather Bell. So if you want to go take a look at models yourself, I highly recommend going to Pivotal Weather. If you search up Pivotal Weather on the internet, you'll find all the sorts of different models there that you guys can use. And this is really useful, especially if you want to take a look at soundings and stuff like that, which can help decipher what the environment is like. So go to Pivotal Weather. I recommend that. What about Colorado? It's the same thing as Utah, actually. Yeah, let's go back to that. Let's go to Colorado. And look, this is kind of the same story here. You got some higher elevations that get, a foot to even 2 feet of snow in some spots, whereas if you're closer and closer towards Denver and further east, you guys don't really get a whole lot. So it's really interesting to see how this all progresses for the higher elevations. But then, in the lower elevations, you guys could potentially get, an absorbent amount of precipitation. So watch out for that, but not super, not a super high amount. Like, you guys can get passing showers. Kendall with the 2 says, could we get high winds in Michigan from the storm? Yes, you guys could definitely get high winds and stuff like that. Would not be surprised for you all. Will Ohio be safe? Yeah, you guys should be safe, honestly. I think you guys won't be in the main portion of the risk and stuff like that. By the way, we have gotten over 21,000 subscribers, so I really do appreciate that. I mean, if my original goal was 20,000 subscribers, and that in October, it was kind of like a dream to get it because of the rate we were going. We weren't going to make it, but, you guys have blown this completely out of the water. So I really do appreciate your guys' help. All right, we got chat bustling. We got a bunch of questions here. We got a lot of questions for Missouri. I see Missouri, so let's take a look at Missouri in general. And you guys can see here with severe weather. So we're going to go from state to state to state. I'll tell you what, we're going to go from state to state to state. So we're going to start in Missouri first. Then we're going to take a look at Kansas. Then we're going to take a look at Nebraska. Then we're going to take a look at Iowa. Then we're going to take a look at probably Illinois. And then, well, actually, no, we're going to go to Minnesota first. And then we're going to go to like Wisconsin, Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So we're going to go from state to state to state to try and cover as much ground as we can. That way we can try and answer as many questions as we can without, individually going from one comment to another. So if that sounds fair to you all, stick with me here for a little bit. Torsten with the 5 says, what about the weather in Winnipeg? Do we get snow? No one talks about Canada like your videos. Well, I mean, I can't forget about my Canadians because honestly, you all and me are the same thing. You guys like the cold weather. Well, some people don't like the cold, but, I like being in cold environments. If I were to move to Canada, that would be pretty nice. We both like hockey. I mean, my team might be kind of weird with the Columbus Blue Jackets, but usually, Canadians are really nice about hockey and stuff like that. And, so when severe weather is up there, you guys even get severe weather. So let's talk about Missouri first. I'll shift over to Manitoba because I actually am curious about that. And then we'll go from Kansas and all the sorts of different states. So here we go. And by the way, Buggle with the, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's kind of hard with the font, but I apologize if I butchered it. With the 2 says, will Memphis get hit again like the other day? Only with showers and thunderstorms, so it'll be more of a flooding risk. So let's take a look at the precipitation now. All right. And we're going to go to the NAM 3-kilometer model. NAM 3-kilometer. Jeez, the NAM 3-kilometer is weird. All right. So now we're going to take a look at here from the beginning. All right. So this is Wednesday morning into Wednesday evening. Of course, the timings are above me, as I've said. And you can see the line of storms really don't start to form and move towards areas like, you know, St. Joseph and Kansas City until probably like 6 in the afternoon, evening. Well, technically it's evening, if we want to look at it that way. And then this will continue to surge on through. It starts heading off into the Columbia vicinity, maybe even into the area of Joplin as well. Sometime around 9 to 10. Then it'll start to move off into the St. Louis general area and meet up with this other line that's over into portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas. That can create some strong damaging winds, and then Springfield can get into the action at around, you know, midnight to maybe even a little bit past midnight. And this line will continue to surge on through into places like Farmington, as well as right over the general vicinity of the Mississippi-Ohio River Delta. And that'll practically be most or the majority of your risk from Wednesday into Thursday. But you guys could see some residual showers and thunderstorms over the Mississippi and Ohio River Delta there as well. So watch out for that if you are in those general vicinities. We'll go to Michigan. Michigan's not really going to be like super impacted by this event. So we'll talk a little bit about Michigan as well, because I actually do think you have a valid point with that. All right, so let's talk about Canada here real quickly, and that's going to be, can't do it with the NAM 3 kilometer, unfortunately. Continental, Canada. That's a weird version of Canada. There we go. Canada, Central Canada. There we go. All right, we got that going for us. So here with this event, you can see that the NAM is not running, so therefore we have to pull up something else. The NAM doesn't really like me right now, does it? All right, before we do that, I want to look up this real quickly on the side here, because something just popped up on my chat. All right, so I'll answer that question here in a bit. I just wanted to check to see if I can use that as evidence. All right, so, of course, if you live in Canada, you guys know Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, okay? So here we go. As this plays out from Tuesday into Wednesday, residual showers and thunderstorms, as well as snow, is possible, but it's more of a snow thing, all right? You guys can see all the blue across the board. And this is going to create just kind of this band of snow, except for if you're like down here towards Winnipeg, all right? You guys can get the literal backside of this low pressure system that can create more and more snow. If you're asking about the snow totals, you can see the snow actually really starts to get pretty excessive in Ontario. The snow totals in itself here, you can see, we're going to do snow total from Kuchera. They're not exactly going to be like super excessive, although areas over here in the portions of Winnipeg could get in upwards of probably 2 inches of snow from this. So I'd watch out. You know, Thunder Bay in Ontario, I know I have someone who's on the channel that does that too. I'd watch out for that as well. But otherwise, not exactly super, super excessive. Jesus love everyone. With the 5, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and indeed he does. Yeah, so that's your guys' kind of story in general, is that you guys could get some snow. Not expected to be like a high amount, but it's some. It is some. All right, so now let's go over to Kansas, and let's do the timings here for that. We're just gonna kind of work our way around this entire event, so we'll get to your state eventually, wherever you guys may live. So here we go. Let's backtrack now. Wednesday, I'm gonna go to NAM 3 kilometer. There we go. And the NAM is actually running right now, the 0Z, so that's kind of interesting. But you can see here on Wednesday, showers and thunderstorms then start to begin to form sometime around 3 p.m. into the 4 p.m. hours. This will really start to kind of surge on through into a line to where you can see Nebraska and Kansas kind of get in the risk. And the general vicinity of, say, central to eastern portions of Kansas, you guys are getting strong thunderstorms. But then after those thunderstorms move on through, then it'll be more of a fire risk for everyone, because it's there's a lot of dry dew points here within this general vicinity. And you guys can actually see here, you have 60-degree dew points on one side, and then you have single digits. Like, very significant single-digit dew points here across the board. And that is pretty concerning if you guys live in those areas, because there's going to be some strong damaging winds that'll move through there regardless. And if there are fires, this thing is just going to spread all over the place. So watch out for that. So that's kind of the general idea for Kansas. And just to show you all the relative humidity here. All right. Humidity is basically measured by, it's measured by how close the dew points and the temperatures are close to each other. So watch out for that. Justin with the 5 says, could these conditions potentially cause a major F5 tornado? And would any tornadoes be on the weak side? Or would any tornadoes be on the weak side? They'd probably be weak. There's not enough energy for there to be significant tornadoes. So I wouldn't anticipate that all too much. But thank you for the 5, Justin. I really do appreciate it. I really do. So yeah, look at this. The humidity, you have very close together dew points and temperatures. Temperature and dew point almost exactly the same. And then on the opposite side, the dew points are just so low that the humidity is almost in the single digits here in some spots. That's pretty excessive there as well. Let's backtrack and see. Yeah, very, very low humidity levels. And that could easily create significant conditions for fire weather. So on top of the hurricane force winds, you guys could potentially get wildfires, and that could potentially spread all over the place. So gotta watch out for that if you're in Kansas. Now let's take a look at Nebraska. And once again, I want to take a look at the composite reflectivity. And you can see here, watch this here, all right? This is from the afternoon hours of Wednesday. And you can see the snow start to kind of surge in on the backside. You can kind of make out this kind of counterclockwise spin if you watch it very closely. But you can kind of see the kind of curling right within here. So watch this here as this continues to move about. You get a lot of snow on the backside, but if you're in like central to eastern portions of Nebraska, you guys could potentially get some showers and thunderstorms. And if you're in places, like maybe Hastings and further east towards like Omaha and areas near, what river is this? Is this the Missouri River? I would think this is the Missouri River. Yeah, this is the Missouri River. Yep. So, anywhere along the Missouri River, you guys can get some severe weather. Strong damaging winds and tornadoes will be the main threat. So if you guys live along that general area, definitely need to watch out. For that one. Frank with the 10 says, great job on the channel. Best content out there. The live stream this past Friday night, no doubt saved lives. Keep it up. Chesterfield, Virginia is watching. Well, it's nice to see someone who lives closer to my general vicinity of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, because I live in Pennsylvania and stuff like that, but we don't really get a whole lot of stuff unless if there is, some sort of tropical system that's moving on through. So nice to see people from that side of the U.S. coming out, and I really do appreciate the 10 for the channel. It really, I really do appreciate it. So yeah, after that, take a look at how much snow, sleet, and freezing rain occur from the storm on the backside of this. Look at this. Starts to really move on through, and you get some heavy amounts of snow. I'll show you guys how much snow you guys actually get within this general time frame. And the snow total here is pretty excessive once you get further and further north. So if you're on the western or northern sides of Nebraska, it's expected to be a bit higher. But if you're towards areas like, say, the northeastern portions, we'll say, like near the general vicinity, it's not exactly in Sioux Falls, because Sioux Falls is a bit further towards the north, but if you're around that general area, you guys might get like a slight dusting, but that also may even be, not realistic with how much rain that has moved on through. Some of the snow could actually like melt into that water that is already on the ground, so would not be surprised if that was the case. Eleanor, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I really do appreciate it. As I said, that is the best way to support my channel. If you wanted to do so, you get badges, you get emotes and stuff like that, exclusive content. You also get shouted out in my main live streams whenever I'm covering like severe weather, tropical weather, winter weather, if I really want to do that. So I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it if you guys, well, I really do appreciate you guys for doing that. Sheesh. I cannot speak tonight. I need to take another sip of lemonade. KJ with the 5 says, thank you for always taking the time to answer so many questions. Best weather channel on YouTube, hands down. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. As I said, I really do appreciate the kind words, and I really do appreciate the contribution to the channel. I really do appreciate all you guys. All right, it may look like I'm responding to a bunch of donations, but to be completely honest with you, we have 650 likes, and that's all from you guys. All right, I wouldn't be able to do stuff like this without you all. So, whether you donate or whether you don't, liking the live stream helps so much. And, even just being here, watching the stuff that I do, coming back to the channel, as I said, wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I do without people like you here in the channel. So thank you guys so much. With that being said, let's now transition to Iowa. And Iowa's not expected to get a whole lot of snow, so that's pretty obvious. And hopefully, yeah, there we go. Things start to come back to normal here with the model. It's kind of running a little bit slow here on this website, which is a little bit unfortunate, but not the end of the world in my honest opinion. All right, so let's see how this progresses here. This is from Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. And here you go. There's your line that really starts to move on through Des Moines. You guys get that activity right around 7. And that's really going to cause some strong damaging winds. And you might even potentially get some supercells on the northern end of this bowing segment, so you guys can see how this thing bows. If you guys are probably from Des Moines and further north, well, Des Moines a little bit further down here below this line, but anywhere further north of Des Moines could potentially be a big tornado risk here for you all. Not super large compared to like Friday per se, but you guys could potentially get some tornadoes within this line as well. So definitely something to monitor with that if you guys live within that general area. And actually, I'm curious if this model has this. Yes, it does. Look at that. So these are the potential areas to where I talked about how there could be supercells, which could then potentially produce tornadoes. These little lines here that represent the tracks of the supercells over time, per se. So you can see there's definitely some supercell tracks here that are well north of Des Moines, but I want people that are in Des Moines to really watch out for that as well, because there could potentially be some activity around your area too. So watch out for that. Watch out for that. Let us see. Adam with the 5, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Says, here's $5 because I'm a big time truck driver, man. Yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I know I'm talking a lot about money, but whenever someone puts up a super chat, puts up a message, they kind of just take priority. They kind of just take the priority. But yeah, you can see the supercell tracks that take that is taken with the storm. So watch out for that. Definitely should. Now, if you're in like places like Omaha as well, I would watch out for that too. You guys could potentially get some strong damaging winds with this, and you can see how the line actually progresses through that. So if you're down here in, say, southwestern portions of Iowa along the Missouri River and into portions of Nebraska, I'd watch out for that as well for some strong damaging winds. So watch out, please. Now we're going to take a look at Wisconsin, and then we're going to take a look at Michigan, and then Illinois. So we're going to do Wisconsin first. Wisconsin. All right, here we go. So luckily, it's a little bit further out past the risk. And the reason why I'm doing Wisconsin is because you guys can also see here in Minnesota who gets impacted as well. And so you can see here the line of storms that really start to move on through. Portions of Minneapolis down to Rochester and Ottawa-Tomie could get some activity there as well. So just watch out for this. As I said, this is the tornado risk here for you guys. This just line of storms that surge on through. So watch out for that as this continues to progress into the evening and overnight hours. Because once again, this is going to be towards the evening when you guys actually get this event. It's actually going to probably be dark, so you won't be able to see anything as these storms move on through. But strong damaging winds and some, well, a chance for a tornado or two is possible within this general vicinity. But then after that, I mean, look at this line that really starts to move on through. Eau Claire gets into the action. La Crosse gets into the action as well. They actually get it before midnight, towards the 9 o'clock hours and into the 10 o'clock hours. And as this continues to surge on through, then more and more areas here in Wisconsin get it, but it's kind of starting to really deteriorate here too. So someone asked before about Stevens Point. I remember that. You guys get some of those showers and thunderstorms, but this is when it starts to get into its that's when it starts to deteriorate as it continues to move on through. So you might get the residual showers and thunderstorms, but it may not be as significant as what it was further west. So keep that in mind, but also still be prepared for the worst just in case. And then these storms really start to kind of fizz out by that time. And then snow starts to come in, but it's not like significant snow. So not really too consistent, or not really something to worry about with that aspect of the weather. Christina with the 66, that's from Denmark. So I really do appreciate it. It says it's $10 in US. So thank you so much for the 10. I really do appreciate it. And some love from Denmark. Yeah, I really do appreciate even people that aren't from the United States. Thank you so much for people who are here with the chat. So now let's talk about Michigan here. Let's talk about Michigan. Where's Michigan? There is Michigan. There we go. And someone asked before about the winds here across the board in Michigan. We're going to take a look at the wind gusts here in general. This is, yeah, there's a lot of strong damaging winds across this board. So here's some wind gusts. This is the general wind gusts out in front of the line. So the line is still over here. You can see all of these dark reds and even browns in some spots. But out in front, you know, if you're in the northern portions of Michigan here, you guys could potentially get some wind gusts in upwards of 50 to even 60 miles per hour. But then if you're here in like the main part of Michigan here, you know, near the Lake Michigan general vicinity, you guys could get that same aspect, maybe even higher in some spots as well, if you're along the actual lake. So watch out for that general vicinity, as some strong damaging winds are expected to move on through within your general area. But then as you transition into Thursday, from Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon, that's when the winds start to kind of seep down more and more. So for the people who are over there that were asking about that, you know, good question. And the answer more or less is that your winds will definitely be strong within that general area. Let's see. D-Shiv with the 5 says, howdy from Ireland. Been watching you since you were averaging 70 viewers. Wow. That was earlier this year too. That was pretty funny. Even that, or that was last year. That was probably last year now I think about it. So, thank you so much for staying with the channel, and thank you so much with the 5. I really do appreciate it. Can you add Canada to your repertoire? Well, do you live in Ontario? Do you live in Manitoba? Do you live in Saskatchewan? Do you live in Alberta, British Columbia? I talked about British Columbia a little bit earlier, and even in my video yesterday. You live in Quebec? Because I do talk about Canada in my videos and stuff like that. So yeah, they are technically in my repertoire. Let's talk about Illinois, though, first, because my friends in Illinois, they've waited long enough. I mean, they're probably, you know, willing to just, you know, say, Nate, you don't care about your friends in Illinois. You need to just go to sleep. Something like that. So, yeah, that's the nicer version of what you probably could say. But here we go. Here's Illinois. And I know we got a lot of friends over here in Illinois. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And first, we're going to take a look at the radar. And you live in Saskatchewan. Yep, I can definitely do that. I'll do that a little bit later. I'll do this after Kentucky and Tennessee, because they're probably interested in if they're getting any more weather, which they are, so they probably should stay tuned. But as this continues into the overnight hours here on Thursday, which, by the way, timing is above me. It's in Eastern Daylight Time, so you're going to have to subtract 1 hour to get it to Central Daylight Time. But you can see this line of storms really start to move on through towards the Quad Cities areas, as well as into northern Illinois. You can see that it starts to get into vicinities of Rockford, as well as approaching Peoria, and maybe even Springfield in some spots too. Yeah, I'd say right around Springfield. I'm trying to get the general idea as to where places are in Illinois still, because as I said, geography with, areas that are not near where I currently live is, still a little bit challenging, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And yeah, it's expected to continue to be just a line of storms. It's not expected to be something too significant, but if you live in like Decatur and further south than that into St. Louis, you guys could potentially get some strong damaging winds. And then this is when things could start to get really interesting, when there could be some rain over areas that have already been impacted by the tornadoes on Friday. So watch out for that, but it's not expected to be like super significant. So yeah, I know a lot of people live up near Chicago. You can see how little rain you guys are anticipated to get according to this model. So watch out for that, but at the same time, it's not expected to get a whole lot. Let's see. Let's move on to Kentucky and Tennessee. And you can see we got a massive area here. Quite a general vicinity. Yep, no problem, Ava. Yeah, you can see quite an expansive area here in this general vicinity. Yeah, is this live? Yeah, this is on Tuesday. This is indeed live, and this is on Tuesday. And you can see here, as we move on through into the Thursday hours, you can see a lot of residual rain, all right? A lot of residual rain within the area. And this is just going to continue to stockpile and stockpile and stockpile all the way into Friday. I'll actually go to the NAM 12-kilometer model, because this, it doesn't go all the way with the 3-kilometer model, which is unfortunate. So you can see more and more and more rain. This is Friday, and now we're getting into Saturday, and this model doesn't even go that far out. So let's go over to portions of the Euro model. All right, let's try and see here. Precipitation totals. This is probably going to be more of a... this is probably going to be a general idea as to how much precipitation you can get in general. So this is from Saturday into Sunday, and it actually ends on Sunday, from Saturday into Sunday. So that's something to consider. But look at how much rain occurs within this general area that just got impacted by these tornadoes. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at how much rain is within this general area over just this general vicinity that probably doesn't have any more structures up, more shelter. There was, all these tornadoes that went through this general area, and of course, as significant as the Quad State tornado was, that wasn't the only tornado that hit this entire area, guys. There's more than one tornado that hit this general area, and this is just really concerning here from the flash flooding perspective. So if there's localized areas that do get some of this, you can see some maximum rain amounts of 4 inches. I mean, look at this on the maximum here. This is the maximum amount of precipitation from this model run here. And, if you actually, congeal all the precipitation into localized areas, say you get a lot of runoff into valleys, rivers, creeks, and stuff like that, then you guys can get some significant flash flooding. And that's kind of the concern for people who are over there. So watch out for that. Definitely watch out for that. What are you using to see that radar? This is Weather Bell. This is a paid product, paid for product, and it costs a lot of money. So I highly recommend going to Pivotal Weather if I were you. Pivotal Weather does the exact same thing. You've got all sorts of stuff on the left-hand side, which I'll show you here. There you go. You got all sorts of this stuff that you can look at. You can look at CAPE. You can look at precipitation. You can take a look at, upper level, lower level winds. You can take soundings. I even use Pivotal Weather on some of my videos too. So watch out for that. How's Central Iowa looking? You just joined. Yeah, they're expected to get into the severe weather risk. So I would watch out for that tomorrow. Strong damaging winds and the potential for tornadoes is possible. Lolly Lollipop, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Let's go back to the Euro model here. But this is how much precipitation is expected over the area. As I said, not expected to be severe here right now. Not expected to be severe. And that right there is trolling. So, unfortunately... there we go. You can still do so. But anyways. So yeah, that's how much precipitation is here. Is Michigan going to be affected at all? Yeah, I was talking about Michigan a little bit earlier. They're going to get a lot of strong damaging winds and some general precipitation, but it's not going to be like a bunch of severe storms compared to what's happening west of you. So a lot of strong damaging winds. So someone asked about Oklahoma, and I do think that is actually realistic. So we'll go from Oklahoma to North and South Dakota, and then that's when we talk about Canada. Because as I said, can't forget about my Canadian friends. I cannot forget about my Canadian friends at all. So there's a lot of precipitation expected over central and eastern portions of Oklahoma, and even northeastern portions of Texas too. Look at this. A lot of rain here expected to get in upwards of 3 to maybe even 4 inches. A lot of rain here in central Arkansas too, almost 7 inches in some spots. You can see there in the maximum right next to me. And that's just pretty crazy in my honest opinion with how much rain there's expected to be. So watch out for that. But let's go over and see with the NAM 3 kilometer model what exactly your timings are here with this severe weather event. So let's go to the reflectivity. And you can see here as this continues to progress, these showers and thunderstorms don't really form until the late evening hours. All right, this is 6 o'clock into 7 o'clock. And this is when storms start to fire off from northern Oklahoma into central Oklahoma. And this starts to become a very elongated line here. Look at this, very long line that'll push on through, especially into southeastern Oklahoma and moving off into central Arkansas. And then, as we talked about it before, there is expected to be a stationary boundary over this entire area. Basically, what's happening is you have a lot of warm air coming down from the south. You have a lot of cold air coming from the north. And because both of them are the same strength, it just stops. The entire line just stops. You get a lot of rain that occurs within that giant line where the two convergence boundaries are coming towards, the two different air masses are coming together. And that's basically what creates stationary boundaries. It's just you have an equal force of warm air, an equal force of cold air. When they come together, they just don't move each other. It doesn't move one way or another. It's just straight, and it sits there. So until there's more cold air that is expected to, come in behind this, you're going to get a lot of rain over this general vicinity, and that's kind of why flash flooding is usually a concern. So yeah, let's take a look at the Dakotas here real quickly, because someone asked about it, so we shall talk about it. If we can find the Dakotas on here, is it on here? Watch it not be on here. Oh, I think it's regions. I think it's U.S. regions. Hold up. North and South Carolina. Dakotas, North and South. Here you go. Look at that. We got that on there. And taking a look at the radar, of course. A lot of snow is expected to move on through. Freezing rain. Look at how much freezing rain and sleet there is here across portions of eastern South Dakota and North Dakota, as well as western Minnesota. That is a lot. That is a lot. Let's see. I'm trying to see specifically as to what these places are. So Fargo, not exactly Grand Forks. You guys are too far north. But yeah, areas over there near Fargo. I-29, that's an issue. And then, of course, you get more snow on top of all of that, which is pretty crazy. And let's take a look here real quickly at the total amounts of snow first, which, by the way, I just talked about Kentucky and Tennessee. So if you want to, you can go back a little bit, but I won't be talking about that until a little bit later again. So just for reference for people who are new to the stream. But you can see here from portions of South Dakota and North Dakota, there's expected to be 2 inches of snow and above, and even into some localized areas here of central South Dakota, which is towards, areas of, this is actually near Pierre and north of Pierre, which is kind of crazy. They can get an upwards of 10 to maybe even a foot of snow. 10 inches to maybe even a foot of snow. So really something to watch out for if you guys live within these general areas, as there could definitely be some snow within the general vicinity. Sleet I was talking about, you can get almost an inch of sleet, and then freezing rain as well. I mean, look at this. You can get an upwards of a half an inch of ice from freezing rain. So watch out for that if you guys live over there. Let's see. Yeah, I appreciate it, Jackson. I might tell Owl you'll get more ice time if you keep it stable. I know you're like the only one here right now who's trying to moderate chat. I might actually open applications for moderation for my YouTube channel, because I'm starting to grow at an exponential rate, So I'm gonna be uploading a video tomorrow morning. And by then, in the description, I'm going to have a link to where you guys can, put in an application if you wanted to moderate my channel. That'd probably be a whole lot better, honestly. All right, so now we've talked about all the states here. What about Canada? Good question. Let's go into North America and Canada. Actually, let's go to the NAM 12 kilometer first. And let's talk about Canada. Or actually, let's talk about central Canada first. So here we go. Alberta, all the way on the left, of course. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and then Ontario. And then here's the total amount of snow for you all. And you guys are not expected to get a whole lot unless if you're in the northern portions of the provinces. So don't expect too much in that department. From the sleet department, not expected too much unless if you're in Ontario, and that's the same for freezing rain too. So watch out for that. Yeah, I know you're there, Becca, as well. I'm kind of praising Jackson because Jackson's kind of, dealing with all sorts of stuff here at the same time. Let's see. Do Missouri. I will if you don't spam anymore. That would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, there's a lot of activity here for the most part once you get into Ontario. Now if we go over to like Eastern Canada, you can see from Ontario and into Quebec, they actually get a lot of freezing rain and sleet too. Look at that. Let's actually go to 18Z. And there you go. You can see how much freezing rain, sleet, get up almost an inch of sleet, half an inch of freezing rain. And then in regards to snow, we'll use Kuchera because that is probably more reasonable. Yeah, KG is around there as well. He's still there. Love you, KG. This chat is moving so fast right now, so... But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff across the board. Yeah, thank you, mods. Thank you guys so much for being around. You guys are getting, you know, a lot of stuff there. But yeah, here we go. There's a lot of snow in this general vicinity of Ontario and Quebec, but not super high, you know, unless if you're like towards the Hudson Bay, you guys aren't expected to get, you know, like over a foot of snow. So watch out for that. Watch out for that. All right, let's talk about Kentucky and Tennessee one more time, because I do want to talk about them once more. And there is an issue here. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, KG. I kept saying KY, jeez. KG, I love you. Don't leave me, please. Dorothy, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I really do appreciate it. And then KG with the 5. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. All right, there's KY. There you go. I know I can slow the chat down, but everyone's talking at the same time, so it's kind of a little difficult. But there we go. All right, here is Kentucky and Tennessee. You guys can see right in front of you. And let's go for the total precipitation, because the main point that I'm trying to get across here for you all is that in some areas, now this can fluctuate further north, this can fluctuate further south, there can be at least 3.5 to 4 inches of rain. And that right there, look at that, is a lot. We can go to other models here too, and they'd say other things, but similar things as well at the same time. Look at this. The rain, according to this model, is a bit further south. All right, now this doesn't go as far as the other one, but it goes a bit further south, and that's something to keep in mind with that. Because, as I said, this can fluctuate. This can go a bit further north, this can go a bit further south. So if you're in Kentucky, Tennessee, along the Ohio River, into Illinois and Indiana, watch out for potential flash flooding, all right? That's going to be an issue from overnight Wednesday into Thursday and Friday. It's going to be this elongated period to where if there's a lot of moisture and it starts to seep into specific spots of lower elevation, so it starts to channel into like valleys, creeks, and rivers, there could be a lot of flash flooding within these areas. So watch out for that, as there could potentially be that risk. So yeah, watch out for that. Any tornadoes possible for Kentucky? No, not at all. Kentucky, Tennessee, this general area of the Mississippi and Ohio River Valley is not expected to get a lot of tornadic activity, if any. All right, it's barely any. There's a lot of strong damaging winds that are moving the same direction. So watch out for that in general. I want to take a look. I want to do something here real quickly. I'm going to save the mods. Because chaos has ensued. And here we go. We're going to change it to a 10-second slow mode because we have over 1,000 people talking at the same time. So there we go. All right, we've made it a little bit easier for the mods to moderate. Hopefully it's not as chaotic. I hope it's a little bit easier. All right. Is there another tornado coming for central/southern Illinois? No. For you guys, it's going to be strong damaging winds and maybe some precipitation. You're new here. Could you give me a quick description as to what you can expect to see on this channel? Well, if you are new to my channel, all right, I upload videos, not exactly every single day. I mainly upload it when it could be impactful to life, people in general, and property. And if the events are significant enough, I will actually live stream. You know, I'll be able to determine as to, well, I don't think I'll be able to determine because there could be some days to where I'm not on. There could could still be impactful to life and property. But if I think it is significant enough to where it could impact life and property, then I will live stream it. So severe weather, tropical weather, if I think winter weather could potentially be an idea, then I'll do that too. But I live stream with that. I live stream the dangerous Mayfield into the Dawson Springs and Bremen tornado that lasted through 4 states. So it's what most people are calling the quad state tornado, but I live streamed that event in its entirety from birth to death. So I do that. I make videos. I try to provide, what I think is as close to factual as possible, and try not to do a whole lot of conspiracies. So if that's, the type of content that you enjoy, then feel free to stick around on the channel. Whether you want to subscribe, whether you want to turn on notifications to stay up to date with all my stuff, that's up to you. But that's what I do. That's what I do. So, yeah, we covered those states here now. Let's get a general overview of the United States now, one more time. So let's go through, let's take a look at the 500 millibar wind shear. What's stirring this up? That's basically winds 6 kilometers above ground level. So winds 6 kilometers above ground level. And what's happening right now is, with the satellite imagery that you guys can see at the top part of your screen, and I'll fix that there so you guys can see the timings correctly. There you go. You can see this massive dip right here. This massive dip is a trough. So the jet stream here is dipping down, massive trough with a low pressure system that's starting to form here in California. That's what's been creating a lot of very heavy moisture and snow across most of these areas here in the Sierra Mountains, as well as into the Rocky Mountains now. But then watch this as it moves off across the United States here. This storm system, or this low pressure system, will actually start to begin to amplify as it moves on closer and closer towards the area to watch. Look at how widespread this gets. The wind shear in itself, of course, is already significant right now, but the wind shear here, according to the maximum, which is right there, right next to me. So for future reference, if you're watching my videos and you see the maximum right there, that's the maximum amount of wind shear according to this model run or frame. The wind shear, 6 kilometers above ground level, is 146 knots, which is about 155 to 160 miles per hour, maybe even 170 miles per hour in some spots. And that is pretty crazy in my honest opinion, because you don't get this type of stuff in December. Or at least not a whole lot. You guys get this more active than like spring and summer. You guys can get these types of event. Excuse me, I'm choking over my words. You guys get these type of events, but you guys don't get this type of activity in regards to severe weather. And that's more or less because we're still transitioning from fall into winter. We still have a lot of moisture that's residing in some spots, and the temperatures just haven't completely adjusted quite yet. And that's, that's one of those things where it's not, it's not the fact that there is, residual moisture because, everything is warming up a lot quicker, because climate change is real. But the thing of it is that the reason why it's so active right now is it's a wind perspective and not a temperature and moisture perspective. All right. This stuff is as significant as it is right now because of all the weather patterns of wind shear. So, any sort of conspiracies and stuff like that, like cloud seeding and stuff, that's not applicable in this situation. It's all wind shear. This type of stuff is kind of normal, except for this storm. This storm is here, a lot of more significant wind shear with this, but all sorts of cloud seeding and stuff like that, and all of those conspiracies, not applicable in this situation by any stretch of the imagination. There's nothing, So, strong wind shear within this general area. And then you also can take a look at the 850 millibar wind shear here. And let's go a little bit closer. So let's go to central. And this right here is basically what's happening to where you have a lot of moisture that's rising up from the Gulf of Mexico and in towards the general area. So the event here is into portions of Iowa and Minnesota. And we'll go back to the Storm Prediction Center Convective Outlook to show you guys what they're talking about it with that. But what's happening here is that you have a lot of this moisture that's in the Gulf of Mexico, and then you have this 850 millibar wind shear, which is about 1 kilometer above ground level, that's bringing a lot of this moisture, and it's seeping up further and further north. So watch out for that as this continues to move about. And then, you know, of course, we'll go over to the dew points, as we already have a very significant low-level jet, but then look at this. Boom. Big time dew points here from that low-level jet. That's because of that strong low-level jet. You got a lot of these dew points that are really skyrocketing off towards the north. You got some from the upper 50s into the lower 60s. And then on the opposite side, the fire risk here in Kansas in the low single digits in some spots. And that is a huge displacement. You got a lot of strong damaging winds because of that. And that's the reason why wildfires are a heavy possibility across portions like Dodge City. So watch out in that general area, as that could potentially be pretty significant in my opinion. But yeah, this is the giant dry line and cold front that's going to be move on through. And this is going to create your severe weather across the board. And watch this, how this cold front just pushes on through. Boom. Then you have that residual showers and thunderstorms that I was talking about earlier with like Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, and Illinois. There you go. There's your showers and thunderstorms. They start to form from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So there you go. So that's practically what's happening here with this event, is that got some very strong wind shear, got some decent dew points. Let's talk one more time about CAPE, Convective Available Potential Energy, and I think they've updated it. Yeah, the new run has came out, so we can actually see what this new run actually is talking about. And according to the NAM, the Convective Available Potential Energy, which is just how much energy is in the atmosphere. So warm air rising, cold air sinking in the atmosphere. The displacement between the two can determine how much energy there is for showers and thunderstorms to form or sustain. You typically would want 1,500 joules per kilogram and above. And even though that max says 2,600, that's all in the Gulf of Mexico. So don't worry about that all too much. Worry about what's happening up here towards portions of Oklahoma and further north, as that could potentially be where the main risk is, and that's where it's kind of expected to be. So watch out for that as this continues to move on through, but not a whole lot of energy expected within some of these areas. 1,000 joules per kilogram at best, I'd say, but you could see some higher portions and localized amounts. So from an energy perspective, this doesn't seem to be super significant. But the dew points are still expected to be pretty high according to the NAM. And so are the ones behind it in Kansas for the fire risk. They're expected to be low, actually. So watch out for that. But sheesh. So yeah, that's what's happening here. I think we're starting to get towards the end of the live stream here. So if you guys wanted to see which areas got impacted, please be sure to rewind a bit. There's a bunch of states that I just mentioned. I basically covered all sorts of states and even the provinces of Canada and stuff like that. So if you wanted to see that, please be sure to go back in time just a bit. But the big thing here is that I will be uploading a video tomorrow morning. And yeah. Hopefully you guys will come out to my video. I will be giving you guys the timings, maybe talking about it a little bit more in depth. I will be telling you guys if I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow morning in tomorrow morning's video, because I do not know at this time. I'll have to look at it a little bit more in depth, but otherwise, I appreciate everyone for coming out. Mini Stock with the 5 says, can we get a brief look at the cyclone in the southwestern Pacific? Yeah, Yeah, I think I can. Hold up. Model fill. Models, GFS. Reflectivity. Where is said cyclone? Let's see if I can find it here. If it's this cyclone right here, could be some severe weather that's in your general area, but it looks like it kind of moves out of the way. Let's move it to like over here and see. Yeah, I don't see too much. That right there is a typhoon. Let's see if I can find it again. I don't see too much of that, and that's pretty far out. So I don't see where the cyclone, if there's any cyclones that could like really impact, you know, like New Zealand and stuff like that. At the moment, at least not according to the models right now. So I hope that kind of answers your question. And yeah, there's like a typhoon, maybe even 2 typhoons that could impact the Philippines. Closer to New Caledonia. Where is that? That is over there. This right here. This might be the remnants of it, maybe. But I don't see. Yeah, there is the remnants of the cyclone right there. There it is. So, with this system, let's move it ahead of time, probably 24 hours. Yeah, you can see it heads a little bit further south. It's not expected to amplify all too much, but you can see you got a lot of strong winds on the eastern side of the storm. And those type of winds could definitely sling inland. So watch out for that if that actually does come close. But as this gets closer and closer to you all, hold up. It is expected to kind of miss you all a bit to the east, at least according to the GFS before this thing starts to become a bit linear. So you guys could get some swells from this storm. You got another low pressure system that's right within here. But other than that, not expected to be all too much. At least not expected to be a significant impact for New Zealand, unless if it's like rip currents and stuff like that. So watch out. Watch out for that if you guys live over there. All right. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it. Minneapolis, Minnesota under the gun for tomorrow. Actually, one more thing before pretty much it. This is the convective outlook for tomorrow. All right, so you can see 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale here in yellow. Minneapolis is actually in the 1 out of 5, so they're a little bit further north. So if you're south of that, like in Rochester, then yeah, you guys are kind of under the gun. Areas near like Waterloo, general area of, say, Lakeville, Cedar Falls, and Iowa. I would watch out for that if you guys were over there. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys wanted to take a look at the my analysis on each and every state before, then please be sure to rewind back after the end of this live stream, which will be coming here in a second. So thank you guys so much for watching. We had over 1,000 likes here on the live stream. My name is Nate. I also go by HockeyBoy8, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.